This video, I'm going to talk about the window blocks. As I mentioned, there's a couple of ways of doing a block from the standpoint of layers. For the door block, they were drawn on layer 0 and then inserted onto the door layer, and then they adopted the properties of that layer. But sometimes you'll have a block that needs to have more layers, more different layers within it. And I'm going to use the window as an example of this. So I've drawn some window frames here, some windows, and they include, I'm going to turn off the grid layers so you can see a little bit more clearly. Layer properties window out of the way. Just need to clear some of these other toolbars. Okay. So with that grid layer off, we can sort of see the layers that are going to make up the window. What do we have here? The white light layer is the window glass. The blue layer is the window frame. And sort of grayish layer, those are sill layers. Okay, windowsill, windowsill, windowsill. What is that? That's the part that you see when you look down. So the glass is going to be a little heavier because we're cutting through it at this plan level. The other thing that I will include in the block is these end walls, because you'd have to draw them anyway. So you might as well draw them into the block. So let me turn back on grid. Okay. So we're making this block, and I won't ask you to do this. I'm going to make the block, and then you'll be able to insert it. I'm going to type in B for block, and I'm going to call this one window double. And for the pick point, I am going to select the pick point of the grid intersection. Doesn't matter which one in this case. I'm going to click here, okay, and then I'm going to select objects. And I will make a window out of, I'll make a block using all of the components of the window and press enter and say okay. All right, so now this element is a window block, right? And it's a double, so it's double. I'm calling it double because it's 2 grids wide. Now what I'm going to do, and you'll notice that my layer is 0, which is fine because everything in the block already has a layer defined. So I'm going to go to insert, and as you can see, the window block is here. And I am going to look for the grid intersection and place it. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is the frame should be on the interior side. Okay, so it's only a 5-inch frame, but it's going to be pushed towards the interior side. Now, one thing that's, you won't be able to see this when you're looking at the plan when you insert these, is that the wall layer is continuing through, and I can't have that, the wall covering the window, so I need to trim that. So what I'm going to do is take this window, and just to illustrate this, and maybe you want to do this when you're making these revisions, I'm going to right click on it, go to draw order, and send it to the back. You can see that those layers, those window layers pass, or the wall layers pass over the window, and I need to get rid of those. There's a couple of ways that you could do this. You could use the trim command, and that may require that you make a couple of picks. On the top side, I'd have to click here, here. I'd have to click 5 times. Another tool that you can use to make that trim, and oh, you can see what happened is that it trimmed this end. I need to replace that. So that may have to do with the fact that it was trimming up to a block. One tool that I can use is called break. So I'm going to input ER for break and click on break. Now I'm going to trim something here. I want to trim this line right here. Okay. And what's happening is it trimmed it at that point that I clicked on. And I'm going to just bring the second point back to the wall here. So you can see I just moved that back here. And I just need to take this one and drag it to that point. So this is what we want this to look like. We don't want those walls coming over the top. So that's inserting that window, a 2-unit window. So I'll create a block for this one. This will be a 3-unit window. And I'll also have a couple of other blocks. This is a 1-unit block for the window, but its insertion point is going to be at this grid center line. And this one here is going to have, like the other ones, the insertion point at these. So when these blocks are made, you'll be able to download them and insert them into your files, and you just need to kind of place them and trim to get the graphics. Every room should have a window. So I'll need to add at least one to the bedroom. Maybe I'll add 2, and maybe I'll add another one to the dining room. Okay, so I've eliminated the windows that I had drawn in here before, but I've made them into blocks. And those blocks should be available to you through the assignment instructions. You need to download them. And once you've downloaded them, what you want to do is type an I for insert so that you see the insertion window up here. And then you'll notice maybe that there's 1 or 2 of these blocks in your file, probably just the one door. To bring in the windows, you're going to click on this icon right here and browse to find the windows that you need. So I will begin to bring them in after I've kind of downloaded them. Okay. And I'm just going to place them over here on the side. That's one of them. Let's see here, the triple. Let me zoom in here. So this one is the one with the center insertion point. This is the triple. Right? I already had the double in there, but you can bring that one in too. The insertion point is on the side for that one as well. And there's one more that needs to be brought in. Go back up to the insertion tool, and this one will be single. It's called single end. Okay, so these 3 down here have their insertion points at the grid intersections. This is at this. The insertion is also going to be at a grid intersection, but it'll be at the center of the window. So what you can do is take these and bring them over to where you need them. So here I go, moving this one, and I'm going to then rotate it, RO, or you can get rotate from the ribbon, and rotate it 90 degrees. And then I still need to resolve the issue with the trimming. So you need to trim from one end of wall to the other end of wall. And as I mentioned before, you can right click and send them to the back so you can see a little bit better where those trim lines need to be. I'll use the break command again, break. And one little trick to only have to do this in one or a couple of steps is to enter F for first point and then pick the intersection or close to it. And then let's do that again. Break. Pick the object you want to trim, F for first point. Choose the end point and the other end point. Okay. So I trimmed it in one step and without having to drag the line. So I'll need to repeat that for the other side so you can sort of see a little bit more clearly what's happening. B for break, BR for break. Pick the line that you want to break. F for first point. Snap to the end point or intersection of the wall lines and then to the second one. That's maybe a little bit quicker, but you're basically going to take all these blocks and just move them around to where you need them. This one is going to go and ortho off. Remember, this part on this side is the exterior, so this one needs to be rotated 180 degrees. All right, now I've flipped it around. I can click on it and place it here. I'm going to do the break command like I did before. Pick this line. My first point, F, enter, will be here. Second point will be there. That's now trimmed. BR, select the line, F. And you can repeat the same process. This is the one that will be placed in the kitchen. Sit here, rotate it. BR for break. F for first point. Click, click. Feed over here. BR for break. Pick the line. F for first point. I'm going to move one of these to the bedroom. Move it to rotate. On ortho, get that. You can either input the degrees or you can, with ortho on, make that rotation. First point, R, first point. BR, pick the line, F for first point. And you know, when you look at the command line, it will prompt you for some of this. I'm going to put a window right here, but right up against the wall. So let's see here. I've got these windows. There's single center, single end. I click over there. There's another way of inserting things. Okay. And I need to rotate it around so that the exterior. Now it's flipped around with the right orientation. Click on it. Click on the insertion point. Place it at the intersection of the grid. This one I can just drag this line back. Top one, I need to break it. BR. Pick the line. F. Maybe one more window over here in the living room or the dining room, and we'll call it today. This time I'm going to copy this one, rotate it. See here. You can do it without entering the degrees. Click on it. Click on a grip. Break command, pick the line, F for first point, 1, 2. R, pick the line, F. You have all of your doors and windows. So that is all of the doors and windows for this floor plan. You'll just keep in mind you should have at least one window in each room, and feel free to use those blocks. You could, of course, create your own. but there's a lot of manipulation that needs to happen. So I recommend using the ones that are provided.